Okay, here we go for the final episode of 2023.
Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to our podcast where we look for opportunities in our lives to see a beautiful view. I'm Candy.
And I'm Paul. Thank you for joining us today.
We would like to invite you to join the Beautiful View Patreon channel. The support of our patrons means so much to us.
Yes, it does.
We are so appreciative of those who have joined our Patreon this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you. When you join our Patreon, we will send you a Beautiful View sticker. We'll give you a shout out on the show. And every Monday morning, you will receive a weekly newsletter with insider information and encouragement for your week.
Memberships are only $5 a month, and your support helps us cover our production costs. You can find the link in our show notes.
We look forward to sharing with you today, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the beautiful view.
We could climb a mighty mountain, float on down a winding river, travel back in time and face our future too. I'm not scared of where I'm going, 'cause I know whose hands I'm holding. Oh, I'd go anywhere as long as you're going to. Well, I'd go anywhere as long as I'm with you.
Well, another year has come and gone, and in this episode, we're going to do a wrap-up of our year, share some more stories, and we're even going to share some of our outtakes from the year.
Hopefully nothing too embarrassing.
Well, maybe not.
Okay, well, let it be said on record that there's quite a bit that hits the editing room floor from these recordings.
Yep.
But, you know, thankfully, Paul is a master at editing and makes us sound good.
Yes, I do.
So this is our 16th episode of Beautiful View podcast. Can you believe that?
It's crazy. I just can't believe it. And I can't believe we're at the end of another year.
I know. You know the saying, the days are long, but the years are short. I am feeling that in such a big way these days. 2023 has been a wild year for us.
It really has. It's been a year of mountaintop highs and valley lows for us, hasn't it?
It has. I feel like we've been on a roller coaster all year.
Yep.
We did get to go on some real roller coasters this year. Well, one was enough for me at Silver Dollar City earlier this year. As it turns out, roller coasters don't really agree with me these days.
No, they didn't.
I spent the rest of the day after that roller coaster ride kind of in La La Land.
Yeah, we got on the ride before we had a chance to really think about it. And then, so it starts off, we're both screaming because we're regretting our decision.
When I could breathe, I was screaming.
And then suddenly you were quiet.
Yeah.
Like absolutely quiet for
I died.
At least 5 to 10 seconds, nothing.
Yeah.
And of course, I couldn't even look across at you because I was busy trying to avoid my own death.
I'm pretty sure my soul left my body for at least 10 seconds. Anyway. And now, time for an outtake.
And we truly believe that was a divine appointment in our lives.
Of course. Yeah.
And so now we have been married for
21 years?
Awesome.
Don't ask me how old I am. I don't know the answer to that. Okay, so
sometimes in life when challenges come, those challenges force us to think creatively and pivot. Earlier in the year, we were going to Wednesdays Are Possible. Mm-hmm. It's a monthly event put on by Innovate 120 from Maquoketa.
yeah.
And it gathers together local business leaders, really anybody who wants to attend, but it's a leadership-oriented type.
Entrepreneurial kind of thing.
Yes, and we all gather together, and there's a speaker that's invited, and the speaker at that particular event that we went to here in Bellevue was talking about pivoting.
Yeah.
Like things don't always go according to plan. And so it's really important to recognize when that happens and don't continue on doing the same thing, but to pivot, to
Right.
slightly change your focus and direction. I found that very helpful.
Yeah.
And one of the pivots that we made this year resulted in the Beautiful View podcast.
It did. It resulted in this podcast and a perspective check.
Yes.
Creating content for this podcast has kept us looking for the beautiful views this year.
So I guess sometimes we're preaching to ourselves, right?
Always.
Always.
As we wrap up each year, I always like to look back on the things we did and accomplished throughout the current year.
So as you were looking back through it, you kept saying to me you were amazed at how many things we actually did this year.
A lot. A lot of things.
There were lots of changes.
There were, yes.
There were travels in the year.
Tyler started public high school.
Yep.
It's easy to forget all of the details of what happens when, you get to the end of the year and you're thinking about the most recent things.
Yes.
But it's hard to remember that what you did in January or February sometimes because it kind of feels like that was a long time ago. So I love to take a lot of pictures, and that's my favorite thing to do at the end of the year is to go back through a year's worth of pictures and look at all of the things that we did over the year.
Yeah. In some ways, the year seems to go by fast. In other ways, when you start looking back, you're like, oh, that seemed like last year.
Ages ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. We have some New Year's traditions that help us look back on everything we did during each year.
Yeah, I have this list of questions. We've been doing this for, since the kids were little. But every year I open up the Notes app on my phone and we have a list of questions. And I always put their name and their age and the year on the Notes app.
Yes.
And then I go through and we ask each person the questions one at a time, and I record their answers on my phone. And then once everyone is done, we go back to the previous year and read through those. And it's just always fun to listen to their answers from last year.
That's always the part that I look forward to is going back and you reading through what we answered last time.
Yeah, sometimes it's kind of hilarious because especially with the kids when they were little, because the things that were important to a 9-year-old might not be important to a 10-year-old or, or things that might, with Emily especially, she changed so much from between 12 and 13 and 13 and 14 and those kinds of things. So it's always funny to kind of go back and see what was on their things I want to do in the new year list and see if they actually got those things done. That is a lot of fun. The kids always like to stay up too and watch the ball drop in New York City. And we always have a ton of snacks in the evening and fun drinks and all those kinds of things. And I also, a few years ago, I started doing countdown bags. So each hour of the night, and we usually start 7 or 8. This year it's going to be a little bit different because the kids have to work late. But but there's a bag with a clock on it, with a paper clock on it for each hour. And each hour there is some kind of, you open the bag and there's some kind of activity in it. So in the past, we've done bingo, or there might be some other game in there. We've done gingerbread house building.
Yep.
We like to do those New Year's instead of Christmas because they're on clearance after Christmas. Little tip for your parents there.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, there's always some kind of activity in it, and it just kind of helps the time.
Yeah.
It just makes for a fun evening to kind of, spread it out. And of course, when the kids were younger, that kind of helps pass the time.
Right.
Now we tend to pass the time a little easier, but it's still fun.
And being in Central Time, the whole watching the ball drop in New York.
Oh yeah, it's all over by 11 p.m.
Right, and that doesn't fool them anymore. But when they were little, that was kind of the way to get them to bed,
right?
So that we could see the new year in just the two of us.
Yeah, we did used to.
Parents can be crafty.
Yeah. We can't pull that over on them anymore, though.
Not anymore. We also always have a word of the year for each year. And that's our family word that we hold on to for the whole year.
Yeah.
And you've been choosing a word for our family for a long time now.
Yeah.
I find it's much better than resolutions.
Yeah. Resolutions just, you never really stick with them. You may start the year kind of like gung-ho, intending to do that, and then you always drop off. But a word it's just something that you can kind of cling to all year. So usually the beginning of December is about when I start really praying about our family's next word of the year for the upcoming year.
Yeah.
And then I always reveal it on New Year's Eve. It's always kind of this big thing, and it's kind of a secret up until New Year's Eve, and then we reveal our word. So
What I'm waiting for, because I try and anticipate what the word might be.
yeah.
And I will be really excited when we get to a year and the word that I'm thinking of matches yours.
That would be cool.
But so far that hasn't happened.
It's really funny too, because here in Bellevue, some of our friends have kind of like adopted it as well. So they're already trying to, what's the word of the year for next year?
Yeah, they want to know what our word is.
The kids are like, we don't even know yet. But
None of us know. It's the thing
It's
that
a
you
secret.
put together and come up
and
with.
I'm working on like a kind of a mood board kind of thing to go with it, with like different things that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be kind of a fun reveal. But
Okay.
our 2023 word of the year was joy. In past years, as we've kind of gotten into the year, it's become very evident why that particular word was placed on my heart. So,
Yep.
and this year has been no different. What were your thoughts when I revealed joy as our word of the year for 2023?
Well, initially, of course, like, you're doing this in the new year, so we're just the other side of Christmas. And so joy is a very sort of Christmassy word.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay. I was like, I wonder how that's going to play out. That was my thought, was like, I wonder how that's going to play out as we go through this year. It wasn't one of those words that initially struck me as something that would be practical. But of course, as the year went on, I was like, oh, this is totally what we should have for our word.
Yeah. And one of the things that I pointed out to y'all when I revealed our word is that joy is actually different from happiness.
Yes.
Happiness is something that is emotion or mood based, and it can
Yes.
change depending on our circumstances.
Yeah, it comes and goes.
Yeah. Where joy is internal. It's a constant state of being. Like it's something deep down that has meaning and purpose, and
you can draw from it.
you can draw from it. And it's there whether hardships come or whatever. You choose joy.
Yeah.
And I have on my phone as my screensaver when we first began this year. Today, I choose joy. And I find myself looking at that throughout the days a lot of times like, yes, I'm choosing joy today. It may not be an easy day. There may be hard things that come my way, but I'm choosing joy today.
Yes. James in the Bible, he kind of understood this too and wanted to communicate that to us. In James 1 verse 2, he says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy."
Yeah.
And really, that's what has been the basis for our year, is opportunities to dive into joy instead of diving into, a constant string of like what ifs or what if we do this to get out of it? Or what if we do that to get out of it? That doesn't get us anywhere. But when you dive into joy, that's something that happens in spite of our circumstances and is something that you have to do deliberately.
Yeah, absolutely.
This year, we had no idea that when you revealed that word, that we would need to choose joy on a regular basis.
Right.
It didn't mean that we just magically had joy. We had to choose to have joy.
We did, and that is so true. I was so hopeful that having that word meant that we were just going to have a completely joy-filled year.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. We had a ton of things to be joyful about
Yes,
in
we did.
2023.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
let's just start out by talking about some of the things that brought us joy this year. The first thing that we started out the year with was a trip home to Texas in
Yes.
January. At that point, it had been over a year since we had moved here and been
It had
home
been a
to
long
see
time.
family. It had been, I've never gone that long without seeing my family. So that was a really great way to start the year. It was a lot of fun.
It really was. And it was something that we had talked about for, 2 or 3 months leading up to that. Like,
Yeah.
how can we do it? Like logistically, what are we going to do to make the trip something that was not only just to see family, but also practical as well. And so we tied into that, picking up the last of our things from your
because
mom's house.
we didn't take the RV that trip.
No, we didn't.
We only took the truck, and we did that for a couple of reasons. Number one was it was going to be a fairly quick trip,
Yes.
and to take the RV for a quick trip to Texas that's a lot. So, and number two, it was we wanted to bring back our little trailer that we
Right.
had there with the rest of our
which
stuff,
has been extremely useful. We've used
yes.
it several times to pick up food for the community food share
Mm-hmm.
program
Yep.
from Dubuque and
Yeah.
bring it back to Bellevue.
Yep.
So we tied that into the trip
Mm-hmm.
and got, several items of furniture back here.
Yeah.
And also tied in a trip to Granbury to do some
Mm-hmm.
work for our clients there. And so that was fun as well. We got to take photographs and video at an event there
At the Goosebump Jump.
at the Goosebump Jump, which
it was about 60 degrees
is
that day.
60 degrees. Winter up here is completely different from winter in Texas. Although the water, I'm sure it was slightly chilly.
I mean, we were standing in it barefoot to
Yeah,
get the
we
photos
were.
and video. I mean,
Yeah.
it was chilly, but it wasn't that
Up
cold.
here, you'd have to break the ice before you could do that. So, yeah, but that was fun. And also, we couldn't take the RV down south because up here there's snow on the ground.
getting back. Well, there was snow on the ground. The roads were pretty clear when we left.
Yeah.
But when we were coming back
there was
later in
quite a bit of
January,
snow.
it was supposed to be pretty nasty. And thankfully we got back. I think the day we kind of pushed it and got back early because there was a storm coming in the following day.
We
so.
just got back in time before another storm
Yeah.
came in. And but that was nice to go down and see family.
It was.
See friends.
It was great. And while we were there, I noticed that there was a litter of puppies that
Yep.
I'd kind of been looking at previously. Well,
Yes.
they had just become available to apply to adopt them. So
Yeah.
while we were in Texas, we decided that we would go ahead and apply for one and see if they accepted us. So, and they did. So when we got back to Iowa, we got to go pick out a puppy.
Yeah, and Tyler knew nothing about this.
We kept it a secret from Tyler the whole time until we went to go pick the puppy, and even then, it wasn't until we walked in the lady's door
Yeah.
that he's like, "What are we doing?"
Who is this person? What is this place? Yep.
So, and then at that point, we explained to him that we were here for him to pick his puppy.
Pick a puppy.
And yeah, he was
so happy.
He was like, really? He did that real high pitched squealy voice that he does.
And these puppies and their mom were rescues.
They were rescues, yes, and
So-
they're golden retriever, full blood golden retrievers. But there was a litter of, there were 14 originally. I think they
Yes.
lost one, so a
Yes.
litter of 13 puppies.
Yes.
And we ended up with one of them. So we went down, let him pick his puppy, and it literally, the first one that was placed in his arms, that was
He's
his.
like, how can I turn this puppy down now?
So that was really exciting. So we let him name her and everything. I know Paul was kind of worried about him
Yeah, picking some weird off the wall,
Pokemon or something.
Pokemon character name or But he almost immediately came up with the name Gracie.
He did, and it was absolutely perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
So,
And she's been such a great addition to our family.
she has.
She just this morning, as she does a lot of mornings, her and our 9-year-old were play fighting in the living
Yes,
room.
that's their new favorite game.
Yeah, and they're wagging their tails and they've got big smiles on their faces, so they're having fun. And but Tipper here has been it's been a challenge for her. It's given her a workout for sure.
It has. She's actually slimmed up, lost a lot of weight. It's been good for her in
Trying
that
to
way.
keep up with the golden retriever, who's full of life and energy, like endless
And
life
now
and energy.
twice her size.
Yes, yes. And now time for another outtake.
We are planning to continue to bring our conversations about our RV to...
You missed out you.
I am having a hard time with that sentence. We are planning to continue to bring you our conversations about RV adventure. That's what it's our RV. That's
Yeah,
what
and
I'm
I've got
struggling with.
one later on, so. Emily had some amazing opportunities. She got to be student ambassador at NICC.
She did.
Yep.
And as a student ambassador, she got to go on a trip to Des Moines to the Capitol building and
Yeah.
got to experience all of that. And just, she has had so many opportunities for growth in this last year.
Yes. And
She has become
networking.
Yeah, she's become a great public speaker and she actually loves doing it.
She does.
And it's fascinating to kind of watch her kind of come into her own there. It's really
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
After the spring semester was over this year, she went ahead and moved back home. She was living in an apartment there just outside the college, and she went ahead and moved home and has been home ever since. She did online classes this semester, so it's been really great to have her back home. That's been really,
Yeah, I know that's been a
really nice for my mama heart.
yeah, it's been a huge relief for you to have her back.
Yeah.
And then we took a second trip down to Texas.
We did, and we took a little different route this time. We normally go down through Kansas, Oklahoma, and down into
I-35,
North
yeah.
Texas, I-35, till we get to Texas. And then, but this time, we have some really good friends that live in Arkansas.
Yes.
And so we decided to kind of go straight down through Missouri, down into Northwest Arkansas, and to stop by and see them because we haven't seen them since 2020. And these are our friends that we traveled with for a good part of 2020. So
Yep. And we took the RV this time
we did, yes.
because it was springtime.
It was,
And
yeah.
it was just so nice to get back in the RV again.
Oh, it was, yes.
Yeah, so it was. We went through Arkansas. We had some different scenery to look at.
Yeah,
Went
that
through
was
the
nice.
hills there.
We stayed at a campground that was just south of where they live in Fayetteville. So we got to spend some time with them. We did a museum visit and got to just kind of jump in, and we got to cook together again. And a lot of the things that we kind of did in the RV, but they now have a house. So we just had a lot more room to do those things.
Yes, we did.
When we left Arkansas, we decided to, since we were already kind of on that side of Texas, we decided to trek down into East Texas where
Yeah.
our friends Tyler and Kelsey live.
AKA
And
the hopeful
the
few.
hopeful few. And we got to reconnect with them, which was really sweet.
Oh yeah, it really was. We stayed at an RV park there, and we got to spend time with them and little Mia, and sort of catch up a little bit.
Yeah. And at that point, we had no idea that we were going to be using their song on our podcast.
No clue.
We hadn't even started our podcast.
We hadn't
at
even
that
started
point.
our podcast. It was something that came later. So I mean, it's funny. That's one of those things that really sort of like circled around through
Yeah.
the year. And so it was a great visit with them. We went to the zoo. We did all kinds of different things. And then we left from there and went back to San Angelo
Yep.
and stayed with family.
Parked up in my parents' backyard,
Yep.
our favorite little mooch docking spot.
Yes, yeah. We have hookups there, so we were able to stop there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And while we were there, we actually had several kind of work things that you had
Yes.
set up for the
Yes.
time that we were there. So
Yeah, we went to film at SWID in Big Spring, Texas.
Which is Southwest College for the Deaf.
Yep, and we've been doing work with them for a few years now.
A lot of years now.
And so we got to visit with this round of students that they have going through there.
Yeah, it was a really nice time.
Yes.
This is the first time that I went because usually Emily gets to be
Usually it's Emily
Daddy's
going.
sidekick.
But she didn't come with us on that trip.
But she wasn't with us on this trip because she was still in college. So
Mm-hmm.
it was me this time. And I do all of their social media management and stuff. So it was really nice to be able to connect.
Get to see behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. It was really great.
Yeah, the students were very hospitable, and they had put on all kinds of events so that we had things to film.
Yeah.
And so that was a great time with them. Mm-hmm. We also connected with a church in Granbury and did some work there as well, and stayed there
Yep.
with friends. And that was a good opportunity for Tyler and I to work together.
Yes.
He got a little bit of work experience and helped me with an install at the church there.
Yeah.
So that was good.
We were still homeschooling at that time. So
Yes,
that was
we were still homeschooling, and so he did school in the RV, and then came and did a little bit of work experience working at the church.
Yeah, that was a really great soul-filling trip. Like a lot of good friends, a lot of family time. We were there
Very
over
purposeful.
Easter,
Yep.
which was really special. But we were, by the time we got home, we were excited to be home and to be back with Emily. And that was about the time we got home was the time she was also moving home from her semester of college and all of that. So, and then we were into the summertime.
Yep.
We had a couple of different friends stop by, our full-time family's friends stop by Bellevue. And
Yes. Yeah.
one of them, one of the families that came through, their kids are about the same age as our kids. And so they were going to come through and stay at the state park. So we moved our rig up there and stayed at the state park with them for a few days.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of fun. So
Yeah, it was. And one of the big things for Tyler in the summer is Scout Camp.
yeah.
So, and this year I got to be involved as a parent leader there.
Yep.
And so we got a spot at a state park real close by.
Yeah.
And we parked the RV there, and then I was able to go in and out of the camp.
Yeah, and Emily and I stayed there, enjoyed our girl time in the RV. We watched all the chick flicks and did all the arts and crafts
Yes,
and
yes.
had reading days. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and Tyler, he really found that he loved climbing.
Yes, he did discover that.
Yeah, so they have a climbing wall there, and they have instructors to teach them how to safely go up the wall and then to rappel back down again. And then they get to hold the rope for other climbers that are going up. He loved to do that. I mean, that was the thing that he was really excited about.
Yeah.
So that was a great trip for all of us.
It was. Yeah, that was a great week all the way around. Somewhere around all of that, your oldest daughter and her, I guess now fiance, got engaged.
Yes.
And so
Yes,
that
they
was
did.
really exciting news.
Yes,
so,
it was. That basically maps out our plans for the summer of next year because they will be getting married in Texas.
Yep. It was a pretty good summer. There were a lot of fun things
Yes.
that happened in the summertime.
Summer here in Bellevue is always like full of events.
Yeah.
This is a community that really loves to spend time together.
Yeah.
And so it was a very event filled summer, and of course, by that point we knew that Tyler was going to be starting public school.
Yes.
And so the fall was approaching, and we went to meet with the school and to find out kind of where he would fit in.
Yeah, what grade wise and stuff, going from homeschool to public school, some of the classes that he had done. So we were just trying to figure out how to set him up for success in the best possible way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, but all of that went great. He absolutely loves it. He loves
he
all
does.
of the things he experienced his first homecoming and homecoming dance and the dress up stuff and all the things.
And making new friends. He kind of hung around with the football team, trying to figure out if that was something he might want to do, decided that it wasn't for him. But now basketball season has come around. And He's playing.
Yeah.
So we've gotten to go and see him in games, and
that's been really fun.
It's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's been a lot.
It's been a lot.
Long days,
of fun.
but a lot of fun. Yeah. So no, he's doing great. He is living his best life.
Yes.
And watching him explore all of that and have so much fun with that. That really, it gives me peace of mind that we made the right decision
yeah.
to kind of let him explore that.
Yes.
And knowing that he is happy and all of that, that gives me joy. So.
Yes, and he's having a chance to make friends and establish connections that will stay with him for the rest of his life.
Absolutely. And he's getting like academic opportunities that he wouldn't have had through homeschool, including dual credit classes and shop class and, things like that. And to be honest, like this year, he's doing algebra 2. And after that, like, I'm not going to be much help to him. So he really needed, teachers that can teach upper level classes beyond where my knowledge goes. So,
and he surpassed my knowledge in math when he got to multiplication.
That's not true. You can at least work a calculator.
Oh, I can. Yeah, I can work one of those things. Maybe not a scientific calculator like he can, but.
And now an outtake.
Let's record the intro.
Okay.
If you like what we're doing here and would like to partner with us to keep these episodes coming, you can now join the beautiful... It's not now join. If you like what we're doing here and would If you like what we're doing here and would... I'm sorry. Start over. That's where my brain goes into lumps of spaghetti that get... If you like what we're doing here and would... I still can't do it. If you like what we're doing here and want to partner with us to keep these episodes coming, you can now join... I did it again. Spaghetti.
I thought you said you were in a good place to do this.
I was until my brain scrambled by squirrels. Squirrels. I want to get into all the conversation and I can't get through the main part.
Okay, well, yeah, let's just take a big deep breath.
Okay.
We are so excited to share with you again today. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the beautiful view.
See, that wasn't difficult.
Another thing that we got to do this year, and the opportunity kind of just fell in our lap, was we got to camp host up at the state park to end out the season.
Yeah, that scratched our itch that we were starting to feel about, like not being in the RV. We actually, we have our RV on a concrete pad out the back of our house, and we have installed electrical hookup to the RV. So leading up to the point where we got the opportunity to do the campground hosting, we'd actually stayed in the RV.
We were practicing
at the house in our backyard.
Backyard camping.
Yeah, just because we miss it.
We do.
And so the hosts at the park that have been there all through the summer were leaving before the end of the season, and so we just filled in those last 3-4 weeks at the end of the season.
That was awesome.
And got to spend some time in our beautiful state park here.
Yeah, and we were actually there like as the seasons were transitioning. So when we first got there, all the leaves on the trees were still pretty much green, and when we left, they had all fallen. So we got to see that whole transition through October, through the gorgeous. Peak, beautiful leaf changing and all of that. So
and
it was really neat.
We'll post some of the photographs because in the fall, that was when Tyler and Kelsey came back through.
Yes.
And I encourage you to go back and listen to our episode, The Hopeful Few, where we got to interview them and find out about their travels. And this was their first tour that they went on.
Yep.
And so Kelsey is a fantastic photographer, and she offered to take our family photographs so you can see what the state park looked like, because that was our backdrop for our family photos for the fall.
Yes,
so that was just, thank you so much, Kelsey, for doing that for us. They're beautiful.
So another thing that kind of came out of this year was we started a Bible study in our home.
Yeah, and it's something that we feel like we're led to do. It's something where we definitely have come to Bellevue on mission. That's always our intention with everything we do in life, is that we always want to be on mission with what we're doing. There have been several different ways in which we've been able to do that over the years, and it's always been a challenge because we were on the road for a long time. And we've talked about this before, about, the challenge of finding community while being on the road. And now we're in this community. We've been just sort of like dipping our toes in the water of like what that means for us here.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we felt led to do was to open up our home. And to invite people to our home and share a time together where we study God's Word, and in a very sort of practical, down-to-earth way, just trying to glean understanding from Scripture so that we can live our lives focused on the beautiful view.
Yeah.
And so we invited a few friends to come over and to share that time with us. And it's just been a blessing to share a meal and share some time together. So that's something that we're going to pick up again in the new year.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. And it's open to anyone. So if
Open
you're
to
listening
anyone.
here in Bellevue, you're welcome to come join us. So
Yeah, come along. It's very relaxed. We're going through the book of John right now.
Yep.
We're just a few weeks into that, so it's easy for you to catch up. We pray for each other. We're there to listen to each other and to learn from each other. And I think it's been a sweet time.
It has been. It has been a very sweet time. So many amazing things happened this year. I actually compiled a blog with tons of photos about our highlights for 2023 over at ourmovinghouse.com. The link to that will be in our show notes. But this year has not come without its challenges. Some of our highlights, including the Beautiful View podcast, actually came out of a challenging time for us.
Yes, there are always challenges when you're a small business owner. We have had years that have far exceeded expectations, years that have been right on target, and years like this one where we've had to fight for every little thing. When business was slow this past summer, we were forced to get creative and think outside of the box.
We were. Actually, some of our ideas were way out of the box. Our morning walks became brainstorming sessions about how to promote our business to increase our client base and our workload. And we decided to start showcasing some of what we can do through our business website and social media. We're great at promoting other businesses and our clients, but we aren't always great at promoting ourselves.
Yeah, it's just something where, like, we're a very small business, like it's the two of us. And so
Mom and pop shop.
Yep. So it feels a little unnatural to do the whole look at what we did.
Yeah.
And sort of like start putting videos out there that we produced and that kind of stuff. So it's not like it's a bad thing. It just doesn't, like, it's not the forefront of my mind to start posting about things that we have created for our clients or whatever. So we
But the problem is if we don't do that, then people have no clue what we do.
They have no clue. Like, what is it they do? I think they're retired. No, we're not retired. Yeah.
Oh, I think he works on computers. Will you fix my computer?
Will you fix my computer? No, I don't fix computers.
So basically, at that point, we went on a mission to start promoting our business.
Yes.
To promote Sign Our Media.
We had to be very deliberate about it. We and plan it out.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you are curious about what we do, we'll put a link to our Sign Our Media website in the show notes.
Yeah, we took to social media to show examples of our work, and we brainstormed creative ways to show what we can do. In the process of all of that, we came up with an idea for a podcast.
Yeah, it's something we've talked about sort of like on and off in the past, like talking about the possibility of maybe doing something in line with our full-time travels. But it never really kind of materialized into anything. And I have produced podcasts for my clients for years.
Yeah.
And so it's something that I have the ability to be able to do. And we have all of the audio recording equipment. So why not? We were talking about this and we're like, why don't we just start doing our own podcast to showcase what we do?
Right.
So then it's like, okay, so what do we talk about? And but I've kind of gotten to the point now where I can't imagine not doing this.
Right. Yeah. And I kept the blog up. So I was already maybe not creating this much content, but I was creating content for the blog before.
Yeah,
so it was kind of a natural progression to roll into this.
Yep.
And it's been such a neat outlet for us. So this seemed like a good next step to sharing our story and to offer encouragement, to share our hearts. And sometimes it's just pure entertainment.
Yep. We didn't really know how it would go. And I think in our very first episode, we started out by saying that we would only do 4 episodes just to see if there was any interest in listening to it.
Yeah.
We didn't know if we were going to get 10 listens, 2 listens.
Or if it was just going to be my mom listening.
Yeah, definitely your mom's going to be listening no matter what. So we just didn't know how it was going to go. So, we just started up and said, look, well, we'll commit to 4 episodes and then see where it goes from there.
Yeah, but oh my word, you guys have been so encouraging.
Yes, you have.
This is now our 16th episode. And what's really cool about that is not only are we getting regular listeners on each new episode, but our first episodes are still climbing.
Yes.
Which means that new people are finding the podcast and starting from the beginning. It's seriously humbling to think about.
Yeah, it is. Our heart is and always has been ministry. But we're a little unconventional in how we approach that. We're very real people with very real, as we mentioned before, highs and lows. We're far from perfect. We do love the Lord, and we walk every day by faith.
Our hope is that our hearts come across in these episodes. I know in the world of social media, we can find ourselves looking at other people's feeds, thinking about how much better their life is than ours. Just remember that most of the time, they're just showing their highlight reels. They aren't posting their ugly stuff. But the reality is that we all deal with ugly stuff. And our hope is that in a small way this year, we have encouraged you to keep your perspective in check.
We're all going to have rough patches. Life isn't perfect, like ever.
Ever.
It's how you handle things when the going gets tough. Do you have an inner joy that you can pull from when things are hard? Or are you always looking for your next happy moment based on your mood or circumstances?
That's probably the biggest takeaway that I've had from this year. We would be lying if we said we didn't want to be happy. But the reality is that no one is going to always feel happy. But we can always be joy-filled because joy comes from deep within. Mm-hmm. My joy is in knowing the Lord is my Savior and knowing that He has a plan and purpose for everything I face. That gives me peace. This year in particular, would we have started this podcast if we hadn't faced what we did?
Probably not. But because business was slow over this summer, we had one thing That was the biggest commodity needed for a podcast, and that was time.
Time, yes.
We did have the work that we had completed for clients in the spring that we were working on to get that finished and get that out. So that was nice. But we did have a lot of time on our hands. And so the podcast filled out that time.
It did.
And having the regular commitment to recording, editing, and publishing the podcast every 2 weeks has kept us on a schedule that's meant that we have been intentional for months now.
Absolutely.
I would say that my biggest takeaway for this year has been the art of persistence. To just stick with something no matter whether it seems like it's going to turn out or not. So the schedule for producing the podcast is one of those things. You know, we are going to sit down every couple of weeks and record this.
Yep.
You are going to be writing it.
Oh, yes.
I am going to edit whatever we've recorded.
Yes.
And cut out all the parts where we messed up. The important part of all of that is just to keep doing something consistently, to be persistent in that, and to allow God to work out his plan for our lives as we work toward his goals.
Our byline for this podcast has kept us focused this year, while we faced some times of great insecurity. When things seemed impossible, we were constantly reminded to open our eyes and look around us for opportunities to see a beautiful view.
Sometimes when we walk through difficult times, it's hard to see that beautiful view. But through our struggles, we found new opportunities that we wouldn't have seen if things weren't what they were.
The difficult days caused us to get creative instead of just plodding along. I found myself creating an enormous amount of content, which has been a lot of work, but also a great outlet for me. Also, through this, I found myself a little side gig to satisfy my social outlet and get me out of the house a couple of days a week.
Yep.
I met some amazing people through that.
Yes. With the benefit of hindsight, every stage that we went through this year is now obvious.
Yeah.
If we hadn't have faced the slow months with our business, there are so many things that we never would have pushed forward with.
That is so true.
I think we've said it before, but our family's key verse is Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 6, which says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take."
That's exactly what we've done this year. We have had to trust the Lord without understanding the whys of what we were walking through. We prayed for God to show us his will through it all, and he absolutely did.
Yes.
As we look back on 2023, it's now easy to see the beautiful views that we didn't always see when we were walking through it.
We hope that you've had a fantastic 2023, but the likelihood is that at least a percentage of our listeners have faced something difficult this year. For some of our friends, it's been a really, really hard year.
Yeah.
And they've gone through some really hard times.
Yeah. One of the key things that kept us grounded this year is having our word of the year. We really aren't New Year's resolution people, but having a word to focus on has proven so beneficial and helpful to us for probably the past almost 10 years.
If you've never chosen a word of the year before, we highly recommend it.
Not sure how to go about doing that? I'll share a couple of my tips with you. First of all, pray about it. Next, think back on this year. Think about everything that went well and what you would like to change for next year. How do the things that went well make you feel? What do you want more of? Choose a few words that really speak to how you want the year to feel. Nouns, verbs, anything works. Just words that feel good to you. Narrow that short list down to one that you know in your heart you need more of. And keep your eyes open. In my experience, once I land on a word, I see it everywhere. I have a whole album on my phone from this year called Joy, just because I started taking a picture every time I saw the word. How cool is that?
Yeah, when we visited friends just yesterday, and we went and saw the Christmas lights afterwards, and there was the word joy everywhere.
Joy, joy, joy.
As we approach this brand new year, remember to keep your perspective. As much as we want everything to go perfectly, the likelihood is that there will be bumps along the way. Just remember to keep looking for the beautiful views in every situation. We pray you have a very joy-filled 2024.
We wish you all a year of joy, peace, abundant love, and beautiful views. Have a happy new year.
Thank you for listening today. If you know of someone who would enjoy this podcast, please point them in our direction. Visit us at Beautiful View Podcast on Facebook or Instagram, share our posts, or share a link to our podcast.
In our next episode, we will reveal our 2024 Word of the Year, share why we chose it, how we celebrated the new year, and what our hopes and potential plans are for the coming year.
Thank you to Tyler and Kelsey for providing the music for our show. Check out The Hopeful Few on Spotify or Apple Music. The links are in our show notes.
If you have questions you would like us to answer or suggestions for things you would like us to talk about in the new year, just email us at beautifulviewpod@gmail.com.
And just a reminder, please consider joining the Beautiful View Patreon. This helps us keep these episodes coming and cover our costs. Again, the link is in our show notes, and it's also on our social media accounts.
We hope you have a great new year. And remember to always keep an eye open for opportunities in life to see a beautiful view.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
We could climb a mighty mountain, float on down a winding river, travel back in time and face our future too. I'm not scared of where I'm going, 'cause I know whose hands I'm holding. Oh, I'd go anywhere, as long as you're going too. And I'd go anywhere, as long as I'm with you. Yeah, I'd go anywhere, as long as I'm with you.
And one more that hit the editing room floor. Enjoy!
Thank you, Tyler and Kelsey, for your beautiful music that we use on our... No. That's not what I was going to say. Thank you to Tyler and Kelsey for the music on our show. It was simple, whatever I was going to say. Check out The Hopeful Few on Spotify or Apple Music. The links are in our show notes.
If you have questions you would like us to...
I almost wanted to start singing the song.
I know. Climb a mighty mountain. Sorry.
Singing girl.